And we have ended this year talking about and sharing from the fact of being yoked. So read with me, if you would. This is one of our theme verses for the whole year that we want to spend time talking about, because in today's message, what I want to do is to try to culminate everything into a wonderful portion of Scripture from Galatians 5 to be able to bring together everything we've been sharing for the entire year. So join me now, if you would, in reading John 10:10 from the Amplified translations on the screen right now. Let's read that together. The thief, who's the thief? The devil. Let's be clear. Comes only. The only reason he comes is to do what? In order to steal and kill and destroy. Keep going. Who is I? Jesus. Yeah, Jesus. Not you and me. Jesus came that they, who is they? Who else? Believers. All right. Believers may have and enjoy life and have it in abundance to the full, till it overflows. Let's leave the thief part alone for a minute. We know what he came to do. But think about this. The only reason the devil shows up in our lives is to steal, kill, and destroy. He's not coming trying to be friends with you. He's not trying to come have a Sunday afternoon picnic. He's not even trying to see if there's a special going on in Piccadilly this afternoon. He is coming only to steal and to kill and to destroy. But I want to read this last sentence again from Jesus. Jesus is very clear about the reason he came. Let's read this together. I came that they may have and enjoy. They may do what? Have and they may what? Have and enjoy. Enjoy life. Keep going. And have it. What's it? Life. And have life in abundance. Keep going. To the full, till it overflows. Come on, give God just a hand clap of praise for the promise that's been made here today. So here's the question. So the question is then, how many of us really want to go back in here and have and enjoy life in abundance to the full, till it overflows, according to what Jesus promised? Now here's the challenge. So here's our challenge here. In addition to that, the next question is, how many of us want to experience the spiritual freedom that Jesus' blood made available to us? Can you give God a hand clap of praise if you're ready to do that as well? So here's the question now. So here's our spiritual principle number one. We have concluded correctly that we want to have and enjoy life in abundance to the full, till it overflows. We've concluded correctly, clapped and everything else to remind us that we want to experience the freedom that Jesus' blood made available. But here's our spiritual principle to frame this entire teaching now. Too many believers are living a life of spiritual bondage and not freedom. We say we want to have life. We say we want to enjoy life to the full and abundance till it overflows. But what I want to offer today as we prepare for the end of this year is that many of us are living more in spiritual bondage than we are free. Now here's the point. We don't even know we're in bondage. We're trying to figure out why we are in bondage. And to give you a sneak preview of where we're going, one of the reasons we're in bondage is because we keep trying to live New Testament, try to get New Testament prosperity by Old Testament principles. We're trying to get New Testament prosperity by Old Testament principles. So the message today is talking about how do we now really come to a point where we can have life and live life and enjoy life in abundance to the full. And I want another hand clap of praise to the Lord for those of us who are ready to have life and enjoy life to the full, to the overflow. So we're not living our offer, the spiritual freedom that Jesus' blood made available, but often finding ourselves too often encapsulated in bondage. So why are we in bondage? Well, first of all, many are bound by past pain. Cannot get beyond what was done to us. In the midst of all the joys we had this year, we had some sorrows as well. In the midst of all the mountains we had this year, we had some valleys as well. And sometimes some of us have gotten stuck and cannot get beyond past pain. It may not even happen this year. It may have happened years ago. But some kind of way it's bound us. And we can go back in church or at family reunions or school reunions and be just in a wonderful mood and see that person who ended up hurting us and we're ready to slap them silly because we are bound by past pain. Not only bound by past pain, watch this one, by present pursuits. What are we seeing right here? See, at some point, if we really want to have the freedom that Jesus gave to us and provided for us, we're going to have to enjoy the season that we're in. Amen, somebody? Amen. We're going to have to start enjoying and embracing the season that we're in. Too many folk are looking and thought, by now we thought we'd be here spiritually. And by now we thought we'd be here financially. And by here we thought we'd be now this way. And we keep on looking at where we thought we would have been, instead of enjoying where we are right now. I'm telling you, the day has to be the best day of the rest of it. You got to enjoy the day. I came that you may have life and enjoy life to the full and the overflow today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Enjoy life today. I'm talking about make today the best day. I'm talking about make today the best day. And too many of us are looking at present pursuits and seeing where we thought we would have been. 10 years ago, we thought we'd be in a different place by now. Last week, we thought we'd be in a different place by now. And as a result, we are not learning to be content in the state that we're in. Not learning to embrace what all his God has given us. Yeah, it may be cloudy on the outside, but the S-O-N is shining brightly on the inside. And we got to start learning to enjoy and embrace life. Paul said in Philippians 4, I have learned. I wasn't born with that. I learned to be content in whatever situation I'm in. Paul said, I learned how to go through here and have some hand-me-downs from they came through generations, and I learned how to go down to the hub and look good every day. I learned how to be full. I learned how to be hungry. I learned to be content in whatever situation. And too many of believers are bound by keep focusing on what we don't have and just thanking God for what we do. I pray, has God been good to anybody here? I said, God been wonderful to anybody here. So instead of focusing on what we don't have, let's celebrate what we do have. And yeah, maybe you did not get on Tuesday what you wanted. But praise God, you got something, And then we focus on where things are not instead of celebrating where things are. Here's the point. And we forget everything we had to go through to get where we are right now. You can look around and see you have no idea what the journey was that people went through to get here. I'm not talking about this point in life. Even today in church, you don't know what kind of red lights they ran and how much speed they did. Everybody had a different path to get here. And instead of trying to enjoy where we are now, we keep focusing on what we don't have rather than what we do have. We're bound by always trying to please people. I'm telling you, folk are funny. Even same folk. They tell you at 10 o'clock this is what they want you to do. They'll change their mind by 2. At some point, we are bound by spending our time focusing on pleasing people, because often trying to please people will take our attention and our focus off of pleasing God. Listen to what Paul said in Galatians 1:10. Read this with me together from Galatians 1:10 NIV. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I was still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of God. I'm telling you, pleasing people, because people had to do some things that are contrary to what God wants you to do. Amen. We could have been further along had we not listened to some folk. Because some of them, see, here's the point, we allow these people, Pastor Steve was talking about this recently, we allow these people into our most holy places. And everybody doesn't deserve to be there. They got to earn their way to get there. You don't meet somebody on blackpeoplebeat.com and just let them come on in. You got to make sure they earn their way to get up in there. I don't care what they look like and how much money they got when they drive. They got to earn their way. We just don't come on in. And we got to earn their way to get to our most holy of holies. Trying to please people takes our attention off of trying to please the one who created us and brought us this far, who's our healer and our savior and our deliverer. Paul says, I can't try to please people and please God. Because if I'm trying to please people, they're going to take me away. And I cannot be, I would not be, I shall not be a servant of God. So what are we also bound by? This is what I want to focus on today. We are bound by problematic principles in applying the word. Now what are we really saying here? Well, we're bound by not necessarily applying the word appropriately. Many believers, I am convinced believers love God and want to praise God and want to serve God. But as a result, sometimes we are applying principles incorrectly and not seeing everything God promised. Anybody ever prayed for something you haven't seen yet? Maybe there's nothing wrong with your prayer. Maybe you got everything right. Maybe we are applying the wrong principles to what we believe in God for. You can't take the rules of football and apply them in basketball and expect to win. There's some different rules that go on here. And so many times we are looking and applying, we're applying the wrong principle. In other words, we want New Testament prosperity, but keep using Old Testament principles. In the Old Testament, it was based on my behavior. In the New Testament, it's based on my what? My belief. And too many believers are still trying to earn God's love. We're trying to do something to God's love. And let's be clear, all of us have been there. We try to, just like on earth, we try to go back in. We have to do certain things for folk to love us or call us back or go with us. And we do all these other things instead of saying, no, at this point, that God says, now you are already approved. You know that little, what drive time commercial, approved. God said, when you guys say approved, and we keep trying to live like we're trying to do something to please God and be approved by God. He says, because you are now saved and believe in what Jesus did on the cross, you are already approved. You are already pleased with you, instead of always trying to have our behavior determine our acceptance to God. And what are we saying? So two things here. So this idea about this problematic principle, the two things we're going to deal with today. First of all, Old Testament principles and to trying to get New Testament prosperity. But here's the other thing I would offer and what we're going to spend time today. Sometimes we're not appropriately applying the word because we don't understand the context in which something is said or done. And if we don't understand the context, we could walk away with the wrong content understanding. I've got to know the context. And then give an example. So now, I wasn't here during the time that the women had their swap a few weeks ago. But I can just imagine in the course of all that, no men were allowed. We were banned from up in here. And I can imagine somebody in this, and knowing Kitty Cat probably, but somebody said something, and Kitty Cat said, girl, shut up. Now, you can take that shut up and put it in a different context. And they said, Kitty said somebody shut up. Then all of a sudden they mad at Kitty, and she's about, girl, shut up. It's all about what is being said in the context, so I can understand the content. Because if I don't understand the context, I can go back and have the content be totally different than what it meant altogether. So what are we talking about here? We want to use these. So these are the two things we're talking about. So what are we saying here? Let's go back to this part here. New Testament. How many want New Testament prosperity? Amen. It's not a bad thing. Jesus' blood made it available. But we can't keep applying Old Testament principles. Now I want you to look at this picture right here for a moment. What are the three things you see up here? Stars. What else? Sun. Moon. What else? Beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, if we take a look at the word, you can look at the word as, first of all, in the Old Testament, they had starlight. They had some light about who God was. But then they had just a little light, this sunlight, starlight, sunlight. Then when Jesus came, they ended up having moonlight. Now, does the moon give you more light than the star? Yeah. The moon, I'm talking the full moon. I'm not talking about no partial moon. The full moon gives you more light than the star. So when Jesus came, he provided light more than they had in the Old Testament. But now that Jesus has already gone back to glory, and now we are walking with the power of the Holy Spirit within us, now we have sunlight, which gives us even more light. Now, what sense does it make for somebody that now has all this full light to now walk like we have a little light? What sense does it make right now if you already got Microsoft Word to go back and use typewriter? At some point, and we keep trying, we got more revelation, more understanding about Jesus than any generation before, but we keep trying to go back and stop focusing on our belief and go back to our behavior and go back to the little light instead of all the light that we have. We cannot apply Old Testament principles and expect to get New Testament problems. Let me make it live again. Here's another example here. So now, is this appropriate right here? I don't even know who this baby is. Is this appropriate? What's this baby doing? Is it appropriate for a baby to suck a bottle? Yes. Now, suppose the bottle is the discussion point here. It is very appropriate for a baby to suck on